Hello everyone, it's SK95. Welcome back to more Pokemon LeafGreen. Last time, we managed to beat the champion and made ourselves the champion of the Pokemon League. Finally beating our dang rival. And this time, let's actually go back in and see what we have missed over our course of our adventure. Yeah, a lot of playtime, I'll say that alright. And usually this is how the game works, technically speaking. It shows like what happens through everything that's happened. It usually does a recap for every game. I usually don't talk about it much, but at the same time, it just shows you what happens. And we have now returned back to Pallet Town because it forces to save there. Hey, there's Oak. Ah, Nick, you're back, are you? How much have you filled in your Pokédex? May I see it? Let's see. You've got 62? Now this is impressive. There's something I wanted to ask of you, Nick. Come, follow me. Let us go back to his laboratory, and see what he wants to say to us. Hello. That Pokeball's still there. Recently, there have been sightings of many rare Pokemon species. I'm talking about Pokemon that I've never seen in Kanto. I would love to go see things for myself, but I am much too old. Since I couldn't do it, Nick, I'd like you to go in my place. And our rival's here. Hey, I heard that. Gramps, what's up favoring Nick over me all the time? I went in and collected more Pokemon and faster too. You should just let me handle everything. I know. Of course I need your help too. Now, I need to see both your Pokedexes. Pokedex units. And that's done. Now, these units can record data on a lot more Pokemon. What we get is the Pokedex upgraded to the National Dex level. Now, Nick and Jacob, this time you must really work towards filling your Pokedexes. I urge you to make them the best and most complete of all time. Truly, this is a monumental great undertaking in Pokemon history. Gramps, calm down, don't get so excited. I'll get the Pokedex completed, don't you worry about a thing. I think I'll try looking around one island first. Anyways, I'm out of here. You'll smell me later? Oh, I guess he's gotten over that. I'm going around the world wait for you, Nick. And that Pokédon is still there forever and ever and ever. I'm not kidding, by the way. That thing is still there forever. Now, I'm going to go outright and say that we are going to be going back to the Sevii Islands. So, let's actually start heading back over there and making tracks. Technically speaking, there are a few changes made once you've actually completed the league and done everything else. First and foremost, I'm going to say outright, from now on, I'm not going to be doing sidebars for the remainder of the LP. Mainly because if I try to put more sidebars, it's going to become more of a complicated mess, and I'm doing basically everything by myself. So, the next time we do a Pokemon Let's Play, we're going to be having a lot better quality compared to this one. Believe me, I want to put great quality into these Pokemon Let's Plays. Besides that, though, let's go fly back to Vermilion City and actually see the new things we have available to us back in Sevii Islands. Technically speaking, this would be the best opportunity if you wanted to catch the legendary Pokemon, if you wanted to catch the legendary birds. But I would say outright, you're better off waiting a little bit doing that, because it's better off that you just get them out of the way now rather than later. And frankly honest, I'm going to recommend outright, before you head off to anything else, you want to be stocked about any items and whatnot, you can do that. So, let us go to the Sevii Islands by going to Vermilion Port again. You have a Tri-Pass. Would you like to board us? Yes, I need. I'm going to go back to one island to give high speed 7 with departing immediately. Yes, indeed. So, we are now at the Sevii Islands once again. And since it's daily thing, I might as well just go ahead and grab what I want to go over there. I'll cut it out in case I don't get anything new, so be right back. So, I guess while I'm on the way there, because normally I would cut it out, but really I don't want to. So, I might as well talk about some new Pokemon that technically are available to get access to as long as you have the National Dex. Remember when I talked about Golbat earlier? Well, guess what? If you max out the friendship with Golbats, now that you have the National Dex and 60 Pokemon in it, you can finally get the Pokemon known as Crobat. Crobat is a very fast physical attacker. I'll say this outright, out of all the Pokemon you've encountered on your journey. This thing's stinking attack stat and speed combined together makes one of the most dangerous threats imaginable. In fact, I'll say outright, this Pokemon pretty much outclasses every other Pokemon in speed. 130 in speed is ridiculous. It's probably one of the best speedy attackers that you ever will encounter in the game. And I'll be frankly honest, there's not much else you can say about it besides it being really fast, really strong, and doing a lot of damage when it wants to. Because frankly, a poison flying type capable of using both of its attacking stats at once is probably one of the most scary things about it, because it really doesn't have anything bad about it. So, besides that, though, that Pokemon is actually one of the better options if you want to pick it up now rather than later. Believe me, I would highly recommend the Crobat line because, man, that thing is scary. And speaking of which, we can also talk about the next Pokemon on our list. We can actually talk about the evolution that we can finally get access to now that we have the National Dex of Pory's final evolution being Kingdra. Kingdra is a Water Dragon type. Remember what I said there? Water and Dragon type. Outright speaking, a Water Dragon type only has one weakness until later games give you another weakness such as a Fairy type. Does not exist in this game though, so you're not going to worry about it too much. Outright speaking, that is a very dangerous combo. And to be frankly honest, Kingdra is scary in later games. And I'll say this outright. Having one weakness of a high decent speed is not exactly a bad thing nonetheless. One of the scarier things about Kingdra is the fact that if it actually gets rain off, it's gonna be literally outspeeding you in every sense of the word. Nothing will actually keep up with it. And frankly honest, I don't think anyone would, because frankly it's gonna scare you like no tomorrow. Besides that though, those two Pokemon are really the only new Pokemon that actually are encountered after you get National Dex. Believe me, the only way to get Kingdra though is if you have the Dragon Scale and you trade for it. Because otherwise, you're kinda stuck without the Kingdra. Although, I will say outright, if you really want it, it's a very premier option if you want a very fast Pokemon on your rain teams. Now, to be frankly honest, I highly recommend it. Anyway, we're back to Sevii, so we might as well talk about anything else we need to talk about, because we can actually go in here first. This is interesting, because he seems to be staring at it. Nick, how have you been for you? Oh, sorry, you got more Pokemon. You know what? Maybe I can be useful to you. I'm modifying the network machine right now. I'm training it so it can handle trades over long distances. When I get finished, you'll be trading for exotic Pokemon from trainers around the far away, but there's a slight catch. For a link to work, the machine needs a special gemstone. It's supposed to be on one island, but I haven't found one yet. Who knows where it could be? Interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. And I say that very, very, very interesting because, well, not exactly a bad thing. So let's actually go and search for that gem by going all the way where we need to go first. Frankly honest, I will say outright that there's other things I want to talk about now that we have access to them. Outright speaking, once you finally get into Pokemon League and reach the Hall of Fame, you are able to use the Versa Seeker to replay trainers. Yes, that's true. However, their teams upgrade and change once you finally get that Versa Seeker until Pokemon League. Trust me on this. You're going to want to make sure you do this in case you want to, because the experience you get from them massively upgrades in power. Of course, their levels go up. That's one of the big things about it, and frankly honest, it's going to be one of the scariest things about it. And frankly, I will completely 100% recommend, if you really want to, do it. Also, I might as well mention on Kendall Road, I forgot to talk about this, actually was the place I actually grind up levels and train in order to get ready for the Pokemon League beforehand, because frankly honest, a lot of the trainers here have a lot of Pokemon that are decently evolved and decently high leveled, so I didn't have to worry about experience or leveling up that quickly. You're also probably wondering, like, certain items I've managed to collect. Like, George already has an item, the Black Belt. The Black Belt is not usually an item you can actually get in this game. The only way to technically get it is if you steal it from another trainer that has the item. However, there is a way to do that. Unironically enough, I went back and decided to go get after Tiny Mushrooms in order to get Tank the move Covet back, because frankly honest, that move is actually useful enough to steal held items. And to be perfectly honest, I tried to do the same thing for Dang Sparky to get Magnet, but sadly, the odds of getting a Magnet off a Magneton is basically impossible. I was better off just getting the Black Belt and being done with my life. So, yeah, there's that. That's why I had to do it like that, and frankly honest, I would recommend, outright speaking, if you really want the item, please do it, because it's the best option you got. Also, let's go back to the Team Rocket grunt over here. Woo, punched through at last. Let's go treasure hunting. Any treasure we find, we haul back to the warehouse, understood? Oh, and what's the other passwords? At the Rocket Warehouse, I mean. What, you forgot the password? There are actually two. The first one's Goldeen needed log, and the second one is... Hey, that's Snoop's been listening in. I heard nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. I plead the fifth. I heard nothing. Goldeen needs a log? Well, since it's likely going to be a double battle, I'm going to actually have my lower experience Pokemon actually take the hits. So let's have Anarchy have some fun and have George in second place. So, yeah. Unironically enough, I probably should teach Anarchy Surf, but Trying to horn in our treasure? Don't bet on it. And Team Rocket is back with his very nonsense. Technically, this weakness game is actually a prequel to the Solar Cold Soul Silver games. Rattata. Meh. Yeah, that's kind of sad. It's just Rattata. Not much else to worry about it. Anyway, Water Pulse. Their levels are quite low. In fact, you're not going to really find any Team Rocket runs that have decently high level Pokemon until late. I'll be honest with all of you, because they're not that threatening nor scary. Because of that, I would say outright, you're not going to have any trouble entirely. And if you have under-level Pokemon, I recommend highly giving them the experience share right now. Trust me, you're going to want to do that. The only thing that really was decently experienced was the dang Sandshrew. Now Sandslash is going to pop out. So, yeah, pretty much. The only benefit I can say outright, I think I'm going to keep Water Pulse just because of its utility nonsense. And the fact they got a critical hit, and also it has a chance of causing confusion. Believe me, Misty has tormented me too often. So, Raticate. Alright, whatever. I'm just going to use Gordon to smack it. Thankfully, though, I managed to get rid of certain moves. Honestly speaking, I feel like George has not been doing a whole lot ever since certain battles keep happening. Because, unfortunately, it gets stuck into a nonsense where fighting type is not exactly the most useful Pokemon. Which is a shame, because I do like the fighting type a lot, though, I'd be fair, though. I think I'm biased towards fire and fighting, but that's just me because I love Infernape too much. But besides that, Grunt's defeated. Wait, but how? No, this cannot be! Tell Anisha conveniently and forget everything you heard. No. You've been dropping on us, haven't you? Yes, I have. Oh, that's hilarious. Team Rocket Grunt can be completely and utterly funny. Oh, look, a Cubone. That's still morbid to me. The fact that they have a Cubone when they're the ones that kill the Marowak. Come on, man. Oh, wait, this is a new organization. Thug organization. No wonder they have no standards. Man, their payment plan must suck. And I was talking about Marowak, and they said that a Marowak. Well, this is awkward. Okay. To be fair, though, in the original games, I might as well mention this. I forgot to talk about it. Well, the fact is, you technically could catch the Marowak, and technically it does exist in the files. It's one of the most odd things about it, but besides that, I will say outright, I wouldn't recommend it because it causes some errors to happen. Anyway, let's just get rid of that out of the way, and, what? It's not like the Pokemon later in the series actually have the ability to catch Pokemon, but whatever. Why'd you have to win? What a setback. We gotta have to regroup. You, don't even think about taking a step inside here. If you know what's good for you, you don't even think about this. I choose to ignore your suggestion and, in fact, step inside to that new home of the Mount Ember. I recommend highly coming in here with a Pokemon with Rock Smash, but you technically don't need it to get through. And if I'm wrong, I will cut back to go and grab it from Rock Smash. The Ruby Path is home to Pokemon that are at your level. Not your level, rather, well, decently higher level than normal Pokemon. To be perfectly honest, I'd rather use Repel, but it's not bad. Ruby Path itself is decently useful. Sadly though, this Mount Ember path is not home to anything quite new yet. You need to get out of Mount Ember first. There's nothing new in Mount Ember after the League, and frankly honest, Mount Ember itself, not everything though. Technically speaking, there is something new once you get to a certain point. You need to have strength when you go in this route, and frankly, recommend to highly have strength. Because otherwise, you're not getting through. So this push you, and then we want to push you this way, and then you want to push this one upwards, and then you can get through with no problem whatsoever.
If I had a nickel for every time I fight Geodude, I've had 2 nickels.
Well, yep. Anyway, there are rocks here. Technically speaking, Pokemon can be found in rocks, but I would not recommend going after them because most you're going to find is a Geodude or a Graveler. I'm not kidding. It's actually one of the most annoying things about it, and I would not recommend. Oh, right, I forgot to mention something. Well, I forgot. One of the pathways leading to the new pathway is actually a new Pokemon. This Pokemon is a Pokemon that you can find, technically speaking, in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Gold and Silver series. Slugma is a very slow fire type. And believe me, it's not exactly good that it's a slow fire type. Fire type Pokemon usually have a mixture of either offensive or speedy, which normally is the case. Sadly, though, Slugma is the opposite. It has high special attack for what it is. Technically speaking, it's actually one of the better special attackers you'll encounter. However, its usefulness ends there when it's a Pokemon that doesn't exactly have too many physical offenses that really stand against it. And frankly honest, I wouldn't exactly recommend it highly. As a fire type, believe me, if you had an option for Pokemon Coliseum, this thing is not exactly the best thing in the world, and its slow speed combined with the fact it's a pure fire type, doesn't make me say outright how good it is. Oh, another thing is, you can also find McCargo by breaking in the rocks. I am not kidding. And then besides that, though, I really can't say anything good about McCargo, though. The worst thing about it is it does gain... One of the decent things about it, though, is the fact that it gets so much physical defense. One problem with that physical defense, it becomes quite weak to both ground and water. Meaning all that defense it got, completely and utterly useless. Because all that does is give it more weaknesses to typings that it does not need to get be weak by. Believe me, it is one of the most sucky things in the planet. I need to get out of this route because I frankly don't want to be near a Slugma. I'll cut ahead till I get out of this. Alright, I learned my lesson. I learned my freaking lesson. Singing Max Repels. I'm all Max Repels. Alright, we're out of there at least. I want to check out the other area first, because around this corner, I believe correctly, if you push this boulder all the way to the left, there's actually a stairwell leading downward, leading to the Ruby Path in Mount Ember. This area has basically no Pokemon really that's too important except Slugmas. But besides that, there's lettering here. Dotted dots. If you've played Gold, Ruby, and Sapphire, you understand what these are. Technically speaking, this is Braille language. Technically speaking, I don't know the exact language for this, so I'm not going to exactly show what the language says unless I look up the information and actually copy it down. I will show it on screen in case I need to. Besides that, though, because of how the game's structured, it's only going to show a few letters at a time, so not exactly the best thing in the world. Braille language is technically people who are technically blind. There was guides back in the day that allowed you to basically read a language, but besides that, though, this Ruby Path is not exactly the best thing in the world, and I frankly wouldn't recommend it. I do know, however, what this one is, and I can actually show it technically on screen. Everything has meaning. Existence has meaning. Being alive has meaning. Have dreams. Use power. That is the entire thing that you can think of. And frankly honest, it's weird. I'll say this outright. It is very, very weird. To be bluntly honest with all of you, the Braille language is one of the most complicated things in the world, and frankly, this one doesn't really require it, but I'll say outright, for you playing Pokemon Emerald, oh, believe me, it does. You found a Ruby. This Ruby key item is important. Let's leave Mount Ember finally and actually leave on our merry way, because I frankly don't need to be here anymore, and there is some stairs we haven't checked out yet. That's the stairs I technically avoided because I realized I went back the wrong way I was supposed to, and I frankly want to make sure we check every nook and cranny before we leave. Oh, whoa, fudge. Well, back in the hole I go. Alright, back in the hole we go. I got back out of there. I'm not going to go down this ladder upwards again, because you can actually climb up all the way. Because there's actually something at the very top. You can actually leave yourself a shortcut leading out of here if you want to. I just wanted to show off that pathway because it's easy to get to, and you can leave this at any point you want to. So, there's that. Nothing really too much, all that things considered, and frankly honest, I will say outright, I don't really need to worry about it too much. Since we're done with all that, technically speaking, let's bring this item, Ruby to him, because he's going to need it. Shelly-o, buddy, pal, best friend, let's go and give this to you, because you need it. Oh, Ruby, hey, buddy, how's it going, buddy? Hey, hey, hey. Oh, that's... The Ruby's now handed to Celio, because it's one of the things he needed. Thank you. Nick, you're simply amazing. May I ask for a more giant favor of you? I will persist to say yes. While I was studying gemstones, I discovered something important. There's another gem that forms a pair with this ruby. That other gemstone is supposed to be in Sevii Islands. Nick, please, I need you to go to find the other gem. Nick, may I have your fairy pass and the town map? Sure. I got the rainbow pass, the town map and updated, and my own fairy pass. I'll let you go to all the Sevii Islands. Nick, please, I can't do it without your help. Yes, indeed. So, the Sevii Islands is now fully opened up to us. However, you cannot go to every island unless you fly to them first. Believe me. The map looks like this still, and there's actually another page added onto it. Because you can actually no, that's not the page that you can actually add onto it. You still need to actually open the map and you need to reach a certain island point. Let's head to 2 islands first. I might as well discuss that there are a few things available to you now that you've reached 2 Island. There is, well, an updated shop available now on 2 Island that's actually one of the better things about it. Believe me, I will say outright that this is probably the best thing about it, because the shop updates to certain items that you're going to want after you beat the league. I can't tell you how grateful I am for your rescue of the last thing. Thank you to your feet, people of 3 Island have changed their attitudes about Kanto people. And I'm from Kanto, you see? People of 3 Island helped me have my merchandise. Indeed he did. He got himself an Ultra Balls, which are very good. Let's get at least... I want to get at least 18 more. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to do. Technically speaking, the minigame itself, I would say outright, not exactly recommended. Only if you have another version of the game, or if you have other copies of the game like Ruby and Sapphire and whatnot, I would say this technical skip and chomp game corner is for you. Because if you have no access to it, then whatever. So, yeah, I can't exactly say I would recommend it. However, there is something up here at the Cape Brink. There is nothing new in the Pokemon area. However, there's an item in the water. Well, not in the water, really. Technically speaking, you just need to hit this aisle right here and use the item finder. It's the same thing as leftovers. Oh, the item finder is shaking wildly. There's an item buried underfoot. A PP Max. You're probably thinking, oh, use that for overheat. Not yet. Believe me, there's a better move than overheat. Before you say, what could be better than overheat? Like, really, there's nothing better than overheat. Remember when I said about the Hyper Beam Frenzy Plant? Hyper Beam version of grass moves like Frenzy Plant back in the metronome nonsense? Well, it's not the only move that basically exists. So, let's go climb up here, and there's actually, and I swear if I see another Bellsprout, I'm going to lose it. There's an item technically up here, by the way. Because it's actually a very good thing. Or rather, maybe it's behind the house. And, what? Huh? Oh, right. How silly of me. Okay, what? The fudge? What the heck? I don't get it. 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 Rare candy right behind the house. That is weird. It said go right, yet I was on top of it. Weird. Anyway, this house is actually important for an this lady here. Not old, but, well, she's a shaman, basically similar to the Pokemon Tower. I perfected the ultimate move of its type, but I will no one take it for future use. You, that Nidoking. No, I was just mistaken. She reads the first Pokemon in your party. So, let's actually go and send our, well, starter in the front party, and let's see what she says. Perfected the ultimate move of its type, but no one will take it for user use. You. That Charizard. Oh, this is the one. This is the Pokemon. This Charizard is worthy of learning my ultimate move. Will you allow it? Will you allow your Charizard to learn my Blast Burn? Blast Burn is the Fire-type version of Hyper Beam for the Fire-type starters. In fact, there is a typing for Hyper Beam for each starter. You have to reach max friendship in order to do this. For Grass types, Frenzy Plant. For Fire types, Blast Burn. For Water types, Hydro Cannon. All of them have the same power no matter what. It just means that they're the very most powerful move in the game. Nothing will outclass Blast Burn in terms of power. Which means I can actually get rid of Overheat, because the downside of Overheat is the fact that I lose special attack for each use. The only downside is I basically go on cooldown for a turn. Which is not bad, and I'll be frankly honest, I wouldn't say outright the bad thing, because I'm pretty sure nothing will survive Drag getting hit by hitting it with Blast Burn. So let's actually teach Blast Burn to Drag. Now remember that PB Max I got? I didn't think I could teach that move while I was still lived. Yeah, she is very happy that the move is finally learned. And I can actually use that dang PB Max finally. Or I mean, I did just get it. Blast Burn is now maximum PP'd. I know its PP is at max. Well, shot in the dark, it's saddening to say, but it's only 8. All it did was raise PP by 3. But the damage output it has is monstrous. On a Pokemon of the same dang typing, which is a very big thing, because stab is 1.5 times in terms of damage. Meaning it's basically doing 200 power no matter what. It's that scary. It is that scary powerful. The only real warning is it's not perfect accuracy, but believe me, there's not many perfect accuracy fire moves in the game. I would say alright, it's not exactly a bad thing. We're just re-exploring the islands we've been to before. You're probably wondering what this island is. Well, you can't go to there. In fact, I would say outright you are not allowed there unless you had an event card, which is sucky, but can't exactly do much about it. So let's actually go back and go to 3 Island, because 3 Island is home to, well, something new. Let's first go back down to the Cape, the port, in fact, and there's something over here. Let's back us around and Lewis is found safe. Everything turned out for the best. Well, they finally changed their opinion of Kanto, people. You want to go in this cave after you beat the League. In this cave, 3 Isle Path. Remember how, well, it wasn't that dug in yet? Well, it's very dug in now, and frankly, it's one of the most dug in places. Technically speaking, this technically is reused in later games, such as moves like, you know, in Emerald, there was fossils that you can dig up as soon as you get higher up in the game. This one is the same thing. Beat the League, you get this. And, hey there, how's it going? Did you hear? I struck gold. You remember that I was practicing, didn't you? You can't begin to just imagine how happy I am. So I'll show you. This is for you. Obtain a nugget. Really useful. That's a nugget. I can't give you any nuggets of wisdom, so that will have to do. Thank you so much. In this outside of the 3 Island port is an island 3 Island port of a cave and patches of grass. You're probably wondering what the heck these grass has. Well, so I'm gonna send out Sparky in the front because I'm actually going to catch this thing because you can't really find this Pokemon anywhere else. So the only Pokemon that are found in these patches of grass are the Pokemon known as Dunsparce. They are notoriously known as one of the weakest Pokemon in the series. One of the weakest, though. Nothing outbeats Sunkern. No ifs and ands or buts about it. Which is a shame, because they can learn a lot of good moves. They can learn a lot of good moves. They really can. Not only that, they have Serene Grace as an ability, which means they can actually increase the effects of those moves, meaning they can actually utilize them very effectively, and actually use them to a great advantage when it does that. They do get an evolution later in the series, but I'll just say outright, I know fully well they wanted to do that just because of the sake of a joke, nothing else. So, besides that though, Dunsparce is just a Pokemon known as Miss Potential, outright speaking. When spotted, this Pokemon skips backwards by furiously boring into the ground with its tail. And I don't want to talk about it because Dunsparce is just one of the most mispotential Pokemon in the world. You and I both know Coliseum. You and I both know that you probably tried to use that one and it flopped miserably. So let's actually leave to go back to the dang 3 Island area and go back to the port. We want to head to the port in particular because now we can get to 4 Island. And then we will actually continue on to heading over to the next area because now we have access to everything else in the game. So, let's go and use this Rainbow Pass. Oh, hey there, what do you want to set sail? You can go to 4 Island now. Alright, all aboard a Ski Up High Speed 6. Alright, we're on 4 Island, and that's home to new our rival. Hey, Nick, what are you doing here in the Sevii Islands? You should quit copying me, you know. Anyways, I already got my Pokemon egg, so I'm done with this island. Heh, I bet you don't even know about Pokemon eggs. You'll never fill your national Pokédex that way. By the way, I saw someone with real snow in this island. Why don't you go look around if it makes you curious? Me, I don't have the time to waste. Be smelling ya. There's the smelling ya we're waiting for. Well, he said to explore the island, and we'll do that in the next episode. Next time on Pokemon LeafGreen, we will be exploring 4 Island and seeing what it has in store for us. See you all next time.